and let's go to Arsenal. And I know, Eddie, you are waiting. You want to talk about this at all costs. And Arsenal are top of the table right now. And I want us to put this in proper perspective. Nobody expected Arsenal to be here. Not even the Arsenal board or the lead hierarchy at Arsenal. The target for this season, and that's why the CEO yesterday in a press release said that they are way ahead of schedule. What the target is, and I still remain the target for this year, is to finish in the top 4, right? And now they are top of the table. What can Arsenal do to remain top of the table till the end of the season and win the title? Because it's an opportunity.
So first of all, they need to stop, dipping their toes into that Premier League title race waters. You need to go in knee deep. We've played enough games now for you to start to own where you are. Okay, no one expected that you're going to be in the title race, but you're now in the title race, right? So now start acting like, a team that wants to go and win the title. And what does that mean? It means go out there, play with confidence, not depending on, refereeing decisions, not depending on, our team going to come and pack the bus, not depending on teams just coming, and just lying down and rolling over. You need to go out there and grab it. This opportunity might not come around for a very, very long time. We're 5 points clear. We should be going into every game knowing that we are in the title race. This is not about top 4. And I know that people might say that it's a little bit harsh. But if I think about all the teams, when they break into winning that Premier League title, when Klopp came to Liverpool, when Pep came to Man City, they were not there apologizing for being at the top of the league. Oh, we still think Man City is going to win it. We just happen to be at top of the league. We understand what Man City's history is. But right now, we're at top of the league. We need to start acting like that, playing like that. And for me, it's not even about the fact that we are way ahead of schedule. What needs to happen now is what happens on the pitch. How do we play our games on the pitch? How do we manage the games on the pitch? What kind of substitutions are we bringing in to change things, as the way the game's going? For me right now, for Arsenal, we need to start owning it and stop building excuses for the end.
So tell me, first I'm going to come to you. Have you seen Arsenal play like a team that don't want to win the league? Apart from fans who are talking about a lot of things, I'm asking you, Eddie, have you seen Arsenal play like a team that don't want to win the league? Have you seen Arsenal play with no confidence?
No, I haven't seen them. But what I'm saying, your question was, what does Arsenal need to do right now? I'm saying going
forward. I'm asking for what they are not doing, not what they're already doing, because everything you've said, they are doing it. Arsenal, Arteta won't tell you that, oh, I want to be in the top 4. Every time he's been asked about the title, he said we'll take each day, each game. We're taking it each game. And you can't start looking at game week 35 when you're in game week 20. You can't. Yeah, you have to look at the game in front of you.
At this time of the season, right, there's a reason why they say when you're top at Christmas, you're bottom at Christmas, whatever. The managers start to declare. The ones that are in the relegation fight will say we're in a relegation fight. Right now, what we need now is to focus and get ourselves out of this. We're in a title race. There's nothing wrong with us at this point in time. That's the one thing we're not saying. We're not declaring that we're in a title race. We need to start declaring that we're in a title race, because we are.
It's like being the man of the house and coming into the house every night to say, I'm the man of this house. It means you are not man. You don't need to say it. It's there. Everybody knows you're in the title race. Who is top of the table? Arsenal. Arsenal don't need to say it. Arsenal don't need to say it. Arsenal need to show it on the pitch, which is what they are doing. Festus.
Kali, for me, in as much as I understand where this is coming from, but I don't think we've done badly, and I don't think we've done anything to show that we are not really in the mix for or we are not
for the title.
Because if you check all the statistics and everything in the table, we are there competing, and we should not take for granted that the likes of I know because of the draw against Newcastle, a lot of people are feeling that way. You can't. Newcastle
is a strong team.
If you look at everything in terms of the top 4, Newcastle is there in everything. And you can't take that for granted. Especially the players, they've played against almost all the top 4, and they've only lost one match. And that match was even scored almost, I think, 90-something minutes. I think Liverpool. They've not lost to any other person. So you can't.
Festus, Newcastle has the best defense. Newcastle has the best defense in the league.
I'm even coming to that, Kali.
They are
If
so
you're talking of in
organized.
terms of losses, we and Newcastle are the only people that have lost only one game. If you're talking of in terms of even goals against, Newcastle is the best defense. They've only conceded 11 goals. The nearest to them is Arsenal with 14 goals. So if you look at, I'm talking about even Man City has conceded up to 16, and if you look at Man U has conceded 20. So are we not we're in the midst in everything? If you look at goals scored, Kali, we have scored 40. The only people that are ahead of us is Man City, who has scored 45. So if you look at win, we have the highest 14. The nearest to us is Man City 12. So we've not really shown any reason to say we are not playing, to win. But where I want to agree with him a bit is, at this point, we've seen ourselves in this situation. What do we do? What we should do at this point?
Exactly. And that is the question.
Yeah.
That is the question. What do we do now to remain there till the end of the season?
Okay, for me, what we should do, I don't want to hear any other excuse. I don't want to hear the amount to bring in players.
Well, you see, I'm not, listen, guys, wait, hold on. Let's stop this. When we talk about these things, let's stop talking about what the fans are saying. Let's look at the team. Has the team given any excuse? No. What do we do to remain top of the table?
And that is where I'm coming.
Let's stop talking about what the team is not doing.
No, I am coming to what do we need to do to ensure that we are in the midst, we grant these results, and we end up winning this league title. First of all, we need squad depth. Clearly, that is the main focus here. And we must get in a whole lot of squad in before the end of the winter transfer. Because until we come in, these guys, some of them we get, there is no way some of those first 11, some of them will not get injured. Some of them will get tired at a point in time. Well, remember, we're still playing about 4 or 3 competitions. We're playing the FA Cup, we're playing Premiership, we're playing the Europa. And these are the main guys still playing most of these matches, in as much as we rotate some of them. But they will start getting, remember last season at a point, Saka was tired. We were playing him in almost all matches. We could see in some matches he couldn't even run. It will get to that. By the time we start getting to 25, 26, almost 30, most of these guys would have worn out. We need squad depth. We need a rotation of players where the quality will be almost at par with guys we still have. And how do we do that? If we can't buy a whole lot of them, if we can do as many loan deals as we can, we should be able to go out and get in those so that we can boost our squad. That is what I think is the only thing we need to do at this point to remain in competition.
So for me, right, that game against Newcastle, and I know that you're reeling out all the stats, about how Newcastle are, amazing in defense and all that stuff. But we had players on the bench and we didn't bring them on in that game. We didn't bring on Vieira. We didn't bring on Marquinhos. These are all, forward-looking players. We didn't bring them on. So what are we saying? We're saying that those players cannot contribute in that game. And we're just happy to just keep it, 0-0 and just go away with a draw. Of course, Newcastle are a difficult team right now, and, they are doing very well for themselves. But just going forward, I think that we need to be able to utilize the full, breadth of our squad. And if the players on the pitch cannot get it done, let's tweak things. That's the whole point of being a manager. I want to see.
Eddie, you don't think that the manager understands that those guys can't do anything about what's going on the field? You talk about Marquinhos and Vieira. Do you remember how physical the Newcastle game is? Do you think Vieira will have excelled in that game? Will have played any part in that game?
Well, we don't know because he didn't come.
We know because we've seen him against less physical sides, and he struggled. We've seen him against less physical sides, and he struggled because the man is new to the Premier League.
We needed a spark in the game, right? And
Vieira is not the man to do that. Unfortunately for us,
for me,
Jesus is injured. Smith Rowe is not back. Those are two players that could readily come in from the bench and do a job. They're not injured, and that's why the manager look at the way they are going for Modric, for instance. That's why they are going all out to make sure they get him. That's someone who can come into the side immediately is a little bit more physical than Vieira or Marquinhos. He's a better player with the ball at his feet than Marquinhos. He has a lot of tricks all up his sleeve, and he can run and dribble better than Saka or Martinelli. So that's an addition to the side. It comes into the side. It gets into the team. When we have teams that are like as stubborn as Newcastle, he can do a job. You don't just throw people in because you have them and you just throw them on, and then you're going to be playing at shot one.
No, I disagree, because we brought in a defensive player, right?
Oh yeah,
in the game, we brought in a defensive player, and for me, right, the physicality of Newcastle is not the excuse to now not try and bring something to try and create goals for you. If Vieira, can come into the team, maybe a set play, maybe a set piece, he could just give the other team something else to think about. That's the whole point about
what you see, and we need to be careful when we want to criticize these managers. And I will say this: Vieira will have been stretched out of that game in less than 10 minutes. Vieira will have been stretched out of that game. Against Oxford, he kept complaining. Against Oxford, that was an Oxford side that is not as physical as as Newcastle. He kept complaining. That's why in the second 45 minutes, he had to drop deeper than he was doing, because he had to be protected in some ways. The man is not fit enough yet. And that's whether we like the fact that we played a draw with Newcastle or not, or whatever. Yes, I wish we had won the game. And you call the terrible calls by the officials not to give the 2 penalty calls excuses. They are no excuses. They are part of the game. When you stop the ball with your hand in an illegal way, it's part of the game that you're penalized for it. When you drag a player down in the box, it's part of the game that you're penalized for it. So when that is not done, then you're taking something off the other, because the shot I played that was stopped to the hand, who knows where it was going to? The man that was running towards the ball that was pulled down, can you tell me if he was going to connect with the ball and get a goal or not? If Elneny was pulled back against Oxford, would he have scored his header? No. So when things are done illegally in a football match, they should be penalized. And that's why I'm not going to judge anybody based on the draw. They were not happy about the draw. That was why they were fighting. That's why the FA penalized them. So if you think they were comfortable or okay with getting a draw, no, they weren't. That was why they were penalized, because they kept complaining.
I just think that when you're in a title race, right? You can't be depending on refereeing decisions to help.
Oh, you depend on everything.
You can't just be depending on. You have to find a way to win.
So do you think they're not looking for ways to win? Is that what you're saying? That Arsenal stopped looking for ways to win?
I'm not saying that, but all I'm just saying is that I don't want to hear about, at the end of the game, I don't want to hear about the refereeing decisions.
Or if refereeing decision was bad, you talk about it.
I want I want to hear that we found a way to win the game. That's what I want to hear.
So you think Arsenal would beat everybody in the league?
Sorry, Kali, let me just comment on this referee decision too. One thing I've realized is, yes, I know that at times some decisions will go against you, but averagely at times it's not like there is a calculated attempt or something sinister towards you.
No, nobody's saying calculated attempt. If it happens in a match that wrong calls were made, is it okay to talk about them or not?
Of course, you talk about it.
So we're not talking about anybody ganging up against anybody. That's not what we're talking about.
No, we are still talking about the title, right? And I don't want that to be a factor where tomorrow you say a whole lot of wrong calls.
No, so like I said earlier, let's not talk about what fans are talking about. Let's stick with the club itself, the management, the managers of the team. The only time Arteta complained was there were 2 blatant issues in the game and the officiating was poor. And he has a right to talk about it because they happen. Of course
he does. Yeah.
So I'm saying for Arsenal, you pointed out something, Festus, and which is very key. We need to make our squad work for it. Yeah. And one of the ways to do it is make sure we get in players who fit the bill. Now I've realized the new Arsenal, they're not just going to buy just any player for buying sake. They want to buy somebody who can come in and do a job. They're not going to buy another Vieira who in physical games you can't play.
They're
not going to buy another McCullough.
You can bring in on loan so that at the end of the season they go back. So you can. Why?
So tell me two players that can replace.
You asked that question the last time we discussed.
Partey right now, yeah.
I told you even on loan you can get some players. See,
tell me two. Tell me two.
I may not readily tell you two, but that's why we have the scouts, and we pay them.
So Festus, I can tell you 5 strikers that we can get on loan right now. I can tell you 3 wingers that we can get on loan. But I can't tell you 2 DMs that we can get on loan right now that if Partey gets injured, will do a job. I can't because Partey gives us what very few footballers on the face of the actually no footballer right now in the top leagues in Europe is doing. Because Partey does more than a DM job. It does a lot more. And we are used now we're enjoying that Partey role. But we need someone that at least can come and do a defense job.
75% of it is okay for a stopgap.
Did you say 45%?
I said 75% is even not
bad. Elneny is doing that. But we need more than that.
Elneny is
doing that. Lokonga at least will run around, enter 1 or 2 tackles.
They are not doing 75. Most of those guys you mentioned are about 50, 45.
Elneny is doing more than 50.
Elneny do more than Lokonga, but he's not up to 75, 80%. Anyway,
I think Elneny does 75. See, and this is the problem. We're used to Partey. Nobody will give you Partey.
No, but nobody. Kali, don't say nobody. People come
mention one.
Before Partey, people were playing those wings and they were good.
No, they were not playing this Partey role. Nobody has ever played this Partey style for Arsenal. Go and check the history. Is it Vieira? Is it Fabregas? Is it Cazorla?
At times you define your style. It may not really be the Partey.
So that's what I'm saying.
Your own style and play that role and still give us what we want.
So that's what I'm saying. We need somebody that will at least be a decent DM.
And let the scouts do their job. Let the scouts get paid and go out there and get us covers. Squad depth. Even if it's on loan.
So if you were a club owner, you have a player who gives you 50% of Partey and you are fighting for something in your country, you let him go on loan.
Why? A lot of players have reasons why they are going on loan. Maybe they are not getting game time. So many things.
Nobody half as good as Partey in any club will not be getting play time. Right now.
But Zakaria was supposedly a prospect.
Zakaria tell me what he has done. Tell me what he has done.
No, hold on. Before he went to Juventus,
yes,
he was a hot prospect.
I know him at Mönchengladbach.
So he went to Juventus, and Juventus are a calamity right now. You know, they are in turmoil.
And he still couldn't get in the side.
Yeah, but that's not a reflection of the player sometimes.
Are you saying you are good? Are you saying you can be good enough and you won't get into your side?
But we have that in Odegaard now. That's an example. He was good enough, but never really given the opportunity.
Will Odegaard have bench Modric? Will Odegaard have bench Modric?
But that's what we are saying, Kali. You could be in a team where you have somebody exceptionally good, but you are also good, but you can't get in.
Zakaria is not one of such players.
I'm not even saying Zakaria, but I'm saying players are out here.
We don't Arsenal right now with what you're building and what you're saying that you don't need excuses. Arsenal don't need prospects. Arsenal needs someone who can come into the side and do a job now.
Yeah, but I think
not prospects.
I think
no, what we need is
the tunnel vision. The tunnel vision about that. The tunnel vision about that means that you can't get the kind of player. And I said that earlier on when we were talking about Chelsea.
But you can get something close to it.
When you're looking for a midfielder, January is very difficult. Why? Because clubs make it difficult to get good players out, because they want the maximum amount of money they can get from that player. So when you're getting players for loan, there has to be some other circumstance around that player, not because he's not quality.
Why is Danilo going to Nottingham Forest and not Arsenal? Especially because Arsenal has been chasing him for a while.
I don't know whether the player really wanted to come to Arsenal.
It's not about the player wanted to. The player was ready to leave Brazil. Anybody was willing to pay the club. It was not in the player's hands.
But what I'm saying is
Sorry, forget about big players in Europe who decide where they want to go to. This is in South America, who he just wants to come to Europe. Anybody who is ready to pay, he follows.
But we know with South American players, the agents are usually the ones that really detect what happened.
Martinelli never wanted to come to Arsenal. It was United. So a lot of these players, it's not, when you're in South America, in Africa, it's not about, I want to go to, yes, I love this club, I support this club, but it's who is paying right now, who's ready to pay.
But that's the agents, right? The agents are the ones that are driving where the player ultimately goes to.
Yeah, so the players don't have a say. Whoever is ready to pay the owning club. But what I'm saying here is, as much as it's difficult, I agree that Arsenal need to bring in a scout, because for me, that's what they need to do.
That's just
I'm afraid. So one of the things I think is going to happen if Partey gets injured is Zinchenko is going to play that role, and Tierney is going to play on the left, or Tomiyasu is going to play on the left. That's why I think the club is not desperately looking for a DM right now, because whether we like it or not, Lokonga is not out on loan. He's supposed to be a DM, but he's naturally a central midfielder. Right? What's his name? El Neni is a DM who was also naturally a central midfielder. I'm sure the thinking of the management is Zinchenko comes into that middle, or El Neni. Amongst all these guys, they'll find a way. And that's why they're looking at, okay, breaking down teams as stubborn as Newcastle United. What are the options we have? Let's get Modric into the side.
You've just mentioned it right now. You've just talked about adapting players that we have into positions like Zinchenko could have come into that midfield.
Are you going to compare Zinchenko?
Ben White can even play that.
Are you comparing Zinchenko and Fabio Vieira?
No. What I'm saying is that it's all about maximizing your squad depth. So you could have
which was what we did against Newcastle.
You could have brought in Zinchenko into that middle of the pitch so that you can release another player, offensive player, to go there and help in the attack.
At that point, there were players who were doing their job in the middle. There was no need to release anybody. So what you're doing is you're undermining Newcastle United, which I think is wrong. No, you are. So a Newcastle United. Arsenal was not playing against Arsenal. They didn't score against Newcastle United. So let's put that in perspective, right? They didn't score for a reason. Newcastle United are the most resolute guys when it comes to defending in the league. They've held several big teams from scoring against them. So it's not going to be Arsenal. Arsenal is not going to win all their games.
It's not a fluke that they've only considered 11 goals all season.
11 goals.
It's not a fluke.
Fewer than everybody else.
Let's have this conversation again, because you know what? The league can be a copycat league. When a team goes against a particular team and sets up tactics, you think that other managers will not look at that game and think this is how they're going to go and play them. So basically, if other teams come to the Emirates and do exactly what Newcastle does, are you going to be giving them the same kind of?
Do they have the quality of players?
Yeah, and the manager. Same quality and the managerial.
And the manager.
At each point of that game, the manager was doing a whole lot of work.
Let's not even talk about that, because we went to Southampton and we drew. In fact, we're very lucky to draw that game. And Southampton is not.
And what's your point?
My point is that Southampton is not exactly world beaters.
Okay.
So it's about the way that the team structures.
They just beat a full power Manchester City in the cup.
Yeah, apart from that,
at the bottom of the league.
Eddie, you are permitted to have a bad day once in a while.
It's simple.
Even the Man City, Everton went to Etihad, and true. And Brentford went there and beat them 2-1 with the Haaland and the rest.
With the Haaland and everybody.
You are permitted to have a bad day.
Are you saying
Go ahead, Kali.
To be everything will just be good all through?
No, it's not.
Are you saying Arsenal have a better score than Manchester City?
Of course not.
I'm not saying that, but that's not my point.
Newcastle drew with my
point.
Newcastle drew. Sorry, Eddie, get this. Newcastle drew with Man City.
Yeah.
Brentford went to Etihad and beat Man City.
Everton drew with Man City.
So here's my point, right? That's my point. That game against Southampton, right? Haaland was on the bench, right? What did Pep do? He brought in the players into the squad. They did not get it done, right? But he used the team. Now, what I'm saying is that
so you rather we use the team and lose. So you'll have been happier if we use the team and lost to Newcastle United.
Listen, we will not know, right? But if we use the team,
Eddie, I'm asking you a direct question. Eddie, if we had lost to Newcastle United by this thing you're saying, we use the squad, would you have been a happy person today?
No, I won't be happy, but we could have.
So the manager would rather keep a point than lose all 3 points.
But let's not be one-sided. What if we brought in Vieira and he scored a goal?
What if we brought Vieira like we've done in several other games and he didn't have an impact? What if we brought him on in games that he struggled because of the physicality?
Eddie, for me, I cannot fault the game plan against Newcastle. We played resolute. We played a very resolute and a very.
You are always willing to fault Arteta. So
we played against a team that has proved themselves against all opponents
again and again and again.
Yes, they have. Right. It's not a fluke. The only loss, Eddie, the only loss they considered was again. I'm still trying to get. I think it's Liverpool, and the last is it Man U? They
lost against Liverpool. Yes,
it's Liverpool. And remember, the second goal came very late after a very tough 1-1 match. So see, you cannot fault that. You can imagine if that's the only loss they've encountered in 17 games. That tells you a lot about that team. So don't
rubbish Newcastle United at all.
You're making it look as if we didn't play. We played against a very good side.
Okay, I think you guys are missing what I'm saying. I don't disrespect that Newcastle is a good team. What I'm just saying is this: we should utilize our squad, right? Let's not give up on games.
So Arsenal did not give up on that game. That was why till the last minute they were fighting and complaining about the antics of the Newcastle side. Have you seen Newcastle? And this is where you'll respect Arsenal, Arteta and Arsenal and what they've done. Newcastle have not played against anybody the way they did against Arsenal, wasting time. Newcastle are always on the front. Newcastle are always on the front foot. When they played against City, when they played against everybody they played against, they are always running at you, always on the front foot. But against Arsenal, they were defending deep. They had 5 people in their box at all times, and the midfield was quick to join in the defense, and they wasted time like I've never seen. I was shocked. And I was shocked that Eddie Howe was not even urging them to go forward.
But
that's a lot of respect for Arsenal.
Yes. But you see, for me, I would only validate that is when they go to the Etihad, and then they play open football against Man City. Then I will know that they you remember Newcastle.
Are you talking about Newcastle United?
Yes, because remember the game against Man City was at St. James Park. It was,
and they were open all through.
And they were open, yes. But remember that when you play
anywhere they play against Arsenal, they're going to play like that. Anywhere they play against Arsenal, they're going to do that thing they did. Because Arsenal is different from every other side in the league. So
what you're saying to me is that when
Arsenal is scoring goal, Arsenal is scoring.
Are you saying they
will run at City from the beginning? Have you not seen how vulnerable City have been this season?
I'm telling you, when they go
Arsenal is the only Arsenal, Eddie.
When they go
except you don't want to face it,
play like
Eddie. Except you don't want to face it. Arsenal are the only side that have been consistently solid all season long. And that's why they've won 14 of the 17 games they played. They don't cower. When they were losing against United, they did not change the way they played. Arsenal did not change or whatever. They kept on being on the front foot. And that's why the last 2 goals were counter-attacking goals, two long passes, and they were behind the Arsenal defense. Against West Ham, Arsenal considered a goal. And Arsenal did not, because of that, change the way they played. They were on the front foot till they got the equalizer and 2 more goals. Arsenal have shown something this season that they've not had in recent years. They have shown that they have become a more balanced side when the first 11 are playing. And we've got to respect and appreciate that. Do they need to do more? Do they need to increase the number in the squad and the quality? Yes, they need to. And I think that's what they need to do and sort out in this winter. Get 2 or 3 more players into the side. I'm hoping they can get another DM, a natural DM, somebody who will do a better job than El Neni and Lokonga put together. even if he's not as good as Partey, someone who can do that job. That's what I expect from an Arsenal side that is fighting for the title, because I'm afraid that even Zinchenko might not be able to do the job, the barest minimum, in that defensive midfield area when Partey gets injured. Partey brings a lot of stability to that side than we give him credit for.
True.
A lot of stability. And we can't afford to. And that's why I'm not surprised that he doesn't train every day. I just saw the Oxford game. One of the training days, he wasn't there. He only trained, I think, the day before the Oxford game. But 2 days before, when they were doing the midfield pairings and everything, he wasn't there. He was given a day off. He
wasn't used anyway, so it's a.
But he was in the squad. If it had gotten tough, he would have come on.
See, for me, right, you said exactly what I'm saying. We're just going about it in 2 different ways, right? We need to get the depth in the squad, and we need to use it. There will be
when we have the right players, we use them.
Well, there's no benefit for us going to even get players on loan if they're just going to sit on the bench and we are playing a game and we're 0-0 and you can't bring them on. That for me is wasted.
What? So now that's where you're getting it wrong. Your game against who and what kind of setup? You don't just throw any player. You don't just throw a manager who is thinking knows what he needs to break this down. He doesn't have it. Should he just throw somebody on just for the sake and lose a spot in the team? And then you lose the shape of the team.
What means to replace guys when they are not available or injured or weak or stuff.
Do you want to score a goal or not? You know what?
So it's very better than not scoring the goal.
You're fit enough to be on the bench. You're fit enough to play. Because you could have had an injury in that game. Are you saying that we will play 9 against 11? We'll not bring on those players.
Did we have then we'll know that we're playing a short one, and then we'll play. So we didn't have an injury, but you want us to remove a fit player who is doing a job, playing a part that the manager needs in that game to succeed, for anybody else.
But my point is,
if the player gets injured, then you have lost the services of that key player. Then you can put anybody else who can give you 20% or 10%. At that point, it's better than no percent. But that you are removing 100% for a 10%, that doesn't make any sense.
So there was no player that was at 100% at 70, 75 minutes of the game. So for even 10
the point remains that
of the game, you could
Saka
not
will give you.
Vieira cannot give you 10 minutes of any decent football. Marquinhos cannot give you 5 minutes of decent football. What are we talking about now?
Has Marquinhos played this season for us or not?
He has played this season for us.
Has Vieira played this season for us or not?
They've played.
So what makes you think he can't play decent football? We're saying the opposition is the key. The opposition is the key, Eddie. That's why that's why managers don't think the way you are thinking. They don't just make substitutions. The opposition is key to what they are doing. You don't just throw people on because it's a match or you're going to play football. No, there is a match in front of you. You're playing against a certain kind of team, and there's something they are doing. You need a certain kind of player to break them down. You don't have that. You don't just throw people on.
I just think that you need to be able to use your full squad, right?
When you have the right squad.
Newcastle is an outlier, but we are talking about what is going to be happening going forward.
Against Oxford, did he change the team or not?
He did 6
changes.
He made 6 changes. Is that not a man who is using the squad?
Games, he makes changes. So that's that.
Is that not a man who is changing?
Yeah, Eddie, and when you play those competitions, you still have something close to at least 80% of our food. That's the squad. That's the depth I'm talking. I'm not talking of depth to come in and start replacing the first 11. No, if the first 11 is doing well, they shouldn't change them. The Newcastle game is a unique game. And every game will not be like that. Playing among the first 3 in the league, so definitely that's you don't have to play your best hand. So
at the end of the day, Eddie is not going to agree. Eddie is one of those he's just waiting to criticize Arteta. But like I always ask you,
Eddie,
has Arteta done well or not?
Arteta has shamed him.
He not done anything yet. I don't understand what people are talking about.
Can you imagine? He said Arteta has not done anything yet.
Days, right? Where we are giving trophies for participation. all you've done is just participated in the title race. You've not
A
done
team that was-
Arteta has
a
given
team
us
that was
assurance for
permanently-
top 4 this season, at least. We're almost sure of top 4.
He has
A
not
team-
done nothing yet.
We are
a
almost
team
sure of
that
top
has come
4.
back. Arteta came with your rot and won the FA Cup and Community Shield. You think he has not done anything?
We are almost sure of top 4 in the top season.
Yes,
Eddie, in his top season, we are sure of top. Actually, we are sure of Champions League
in his second and half season.
Yeah, we are sure of at least.
Do you remember this Chelsea manager that came in halfway and won the Champions League?
Was he sacked eventually or not?
That one is just so. I don't know what happened to that one.
So
the players just played.
So when you
just won.
When you are in a team where the management when you are in a team, so you'd rather Arsenal wins Champions League today, this season, next season, and they'll become rubbish afterwards.
No, I don't.
Arsenal is a team with a tradition. Arsenal is a team with a tradition. Eventually, we will get up there.